Hello, happy Wednesday. I am stoked to be joining you today on the next round, our day 3 of Raise Up and Thrive. And I just want to do a big shout out, first of all, for all the brave souls who got out there yesterday and started to raise up their voice, share some vulnerability, and open up to sharing a bit more of who they are. It takes a lot of courage to do that. It takes a lot of courage to show up and share and be able to connect with people. And I can tell you, and I'll tell you in a minute who the winner is, but I can tell you as I look through the homework that came in from yesterday, I know each one of those people more. And I have a deeper connection to each one of those people. They are more memorable in my mind because I know more about them. They shared something about themselves. And that is incredibly powerful. And when we start to open up to who we are and share ourselves, people can see a bit of themselves in our stories. And I think that's really the important part of this is when we share something about ourselves, we are opening up to others saying, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. I'm totally not the only one. I was listening to a book this morning. It's called The Positive Intelligence, I think is what the name of the book is. And I was listening to it when I was cleaning the barn this morning. And he was talking about being with a group he was in a college and he had all these freshmen write on a card, what they were feeling. And then they gathered all the cards. And as they gathered all the cards and started to read the cards, each one of them, he read them out loud. There was no association with who it was. There was everybody was like, oh my gosh, somebody else feels the way I feel. Somebody else feels the way I feel. And suddenly the whole energy of the room was released. People were opening up. They were experiencing each other because they got vulnerable and they saw in one another that everybody had vulnerable stories to share. So kudos to all of you who got out there and shared. And we had only one brave soul who had a video. So Yvette Gonzalez Flower, you are the winner of Pony Ponderings today. So because you did a video and I loved your video, it was fantastic. And I know you said to me this morning, you said, well, this is the first time I've done this videos, told this story. And guess what? And there's always a first time for telling our stories. And that's where we start to, and once we start to practice it and share it, it gets to where it just flows from us. And you did a beautiful job. And I know it's like when you started with, I'm not going to remember the exact words, but it was, I grew up in the hood and you wouldn't have fought, so there was something about that drew me in. And then you saw the perseverance in you, in your story. And so that perseverance of you can be so powerful. And so I just do a big shout out to everybody who did the homework yesterday. If you haven't done the homework yet, you can still do it. You can still do your video. You can still post it up. I'm going to keep the posting capabilities open through Friday. And so that you guys can continue to, as you find the courage to open up. One of the things I always say about being an entrepreneur is that the biggest lesson we can learn as an entrepreneur is to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Because every single time you are stretching to that next space, it feels uncomfortable. And embrace that, right? Because that's where the big expansion happens, is when we start to step into those uncomfortable spaces. That's where the ability for us to be able to open up really starts to happen. So super stoked about this, and super stoked about what you guys brought forth. And I'm excited to dig in today. We're going to be talking about content strategy. And at the end of the day, all of us are content creators in some shape or form. And it took me the longest time to figure that out as an entrepreneur. I always thought I'm a coach, I do all these, but at the end of the day, we're all creating content to serve our clients. And if you can streamline that, and if you can look for ways to leverage the content that you create, and there's so many ways. I'm going to teach you some great ways that you can dig into to reusing your content and making it so that you're not just creating content all the time. I'm going to give you some really good tools around this. So if you do this upfront work, it's going to help you have a base of content that you can always pull from. You can always know what you want to talk about. You have your stories, and you'll have different dimensions of your content that you can approach it from. And I'll give you some really good examples. I'll share some of my own content strategies so that you guys can think about it in reflection on your own content and how you want to be sharing. And that's where we'll be doing. So give me some shout outs today. I'm not seeing any comments coming in from you guys. So give me some shout outs. Tell me who you are if you haven't done the streamyard.com/Facebook. And let's hear hear from some of you. If you have a big aha that you're really taking into today, from this week up to this point, do some shout outs into the comments of what your big takeaways so far are. Beata, we are here. I'm so glad you're here. And I get to see you in just about an hour. So I'm super stoked about that you and I get to jump on a call. Tell us what your biggest takeaways are so far. What's that big aha that you are starting to, make sure that you want to? And Dana, no, so thanks for telling me it's you. I don't know why that's not taking for you. I know yesterday you went out to streamyard.com/Facebook. So Dana, I'm not really sure why that's, it's not showing up. You still show up just as Facebook user. Dana Kirchmar, I do see you. Anyway, it's good to see you guys and glad to hear from you, because I like to know that you're there so that I'm not just talking to an empty room. I could tell that we've had some people in, but I want to know who was here. So let's dig into content strategy. Why? Why is content strategy important, right? I want to just really start with this, because this is the heart of who we are. This is what we're delivering out to the world, having a message, knowing what we stand for, and having the pieces that really support this. And once you have this foundation, you will be able to take the same foundation. You'll be able to use it when you speak, when you do a podcast, when you are in social media, when you are teaching a course. All of these pieces will really fit together in this beautiful puzzle. And it's incredibly powerful to be able to look at it from that perspective. So we started with on Monday, what's that one thing you want to be known for? What's that message that you want to be known for, right? And then we dug into your story. So these are all components of your content strategy. And having an opinion, knowing that you stand for, and I've said this multiple times this week, is that when we're building content strategy, you don't want to sound just like everyone else. And you don't want it to be just the pretty mean that goes out with something kind of soft and fluffy. I want you guys to go deeper than that. That's where you get content, where you get messaging that people say, I need to listen to her. She's got something really intriguing and interesting to say. So have an opinion. If you have not watched Simon Sinek's TED Talk, I'm guessing probably most of you have, but it's a really good place to go back and even watch this. I'm not going to play it in our time today, because you can just go out and watch it on your own time. But if you go out and watch his Why, How, and What talk, that's a TED Talk, and How Great Leaders Inspire Action. You start with the why. And this is the point that he's making here. It's like we get to the why of people buy from us. Why do people buy from us? Why do people want to be in our communities? It's because you're speaking their language. You are connecting to them from a soul level. They're like, yes, this speaks to me. And so this is really, this is a really important way to be able to tune into that why of your customers are connected to you. You want to know that, because then you can start to speak this. So Yvette, you said that you aren't able to open the homework. Is anybody else able to open the homework today? Don't know. And you should have it both as an email from me, and you should have it in the, I may not have put it as an announcement this morning. I did post it this morning, but I think I forgot to make it as an announcement. So if you look in the Facebook group, There will be a post from me that I did about a half hour ago that has the download. And if you're still getting that Safari error, maybe somebody can send it to Yvette. That would be fabulous if somebody else has been able to open it. But you should have it in two places. One is in the email, and then one is on the Facebook group. So hopefully you can get a hold of it. And if not, Yvette, I can send it to you afterwards. So let's keep going. So this is the why piece. So you're going to want to really be clear why people are drawn to you. What is it about you? What is it that what's the experience you're delivering them and helping them achieve? What is it, that desire that they want? So when we start to get into understanding the why, we can get into the how, what, and all the other things. But we really want to leave with this, this connection of why. And Simon Sinek uses a great example of Apple and how, how it's not about the computers, it's not about the what, and it's not about how they deliver, but it's the experience of why people are connected to Apple. So it's a really good video to go watch. When you start building the know, love, and trust, this is where you want to be. You want to be in this know, love, and trust factor before you ever do the ask for dollars. You guys are all business owners. We are all getting to, yes, there's dollars here. And this is what it takes. It takes building know, love, and trust before you ever ask for the dollars. So you start with the why, you get into the how, you get into the what, and all of this starts to, you're delivering content in a way that people are believing, they're not believing, people are feeling and energetically drawn into what you're delivering. That's what you're getting to. That's where you're taking that. So what is your why for your clients? Why are they wanting to be in your world? What's the why that they're drawn to you, your work? All of that's so important to really get clear around. And I'm going to give you some good tools around that. This is a tool. It's called my content strategy tool. And hopefully you guys can see this. It's in the workbook. I have put it on the page 2 of the workbook. So hopefully that you've been able to get the workbook in one form or another. And it's here on page 2 of the workbook. And I'm going to go to a bigger picture of like one of these boxes here in a moment, just so we can go through it in more detail. But let me give you the framework of what this is. So we started with, if the whole world can hear one message from you. This is your core message that, you're building. All roads lead to Rome, right? All your roads are leading to that message that you want the whole world to know you for. So you put that content piece, you put the one world message in the middle. You have your signature story that you guys have started to develop. And keep in mind, signature stories take time. Be gentle with yourself. Love on yourself. Practice your story. One of the things that I've always done with my signature story is my horses know my signature story. My horses know my signature story in a way that most people don't, because I've often practiced my signature stories out in the barn when I'm cleaning. When I'm like shifting a story up or changing to a new story, it's the best place for me to just be in my body and let things flow through. So I'll go out there, I'll be cleaning, I'll be sweeping, and I'll be talking and telling my story. My horses just take it all in. They're pretty non-judgmental. It's awesome. So find a place that you can do that sort of thing, right? That you can tell your story over and over again, and you can get at the habit of practicing. You don't want to get to the point where you're memorizing it, because memorizing your story doesn't serve you. It sounds memorized. You want to just know the arcway, the key points of your story that you're going on, that the journey you're taking your listeners on when you're telling that story. So just a couple of tips on, how do you build on the work that you did yesterday? You start that work and then you start to practice it and play with it. And then you're going to have some different things that you want people to know about your work. So when you go back to this core message, there's going to be some topics that really support this main message that you have in the middle. And that main message that you have in the middle is going to be supported by these. And I'm going to go into one of these here and just in a deeper way. You probably want to have about 4 subtopics beneath your content strategy. And the interesting thing about this is you could take any one of these four and you could start from you could run a workshop on, say, main topic number 4 or main topic number 3, or you could run and I'll show you in a moment. This week we're spending a lot of time on my main topic number 1. So this is something, once you develop this becomes your framework, and it's helpful for you when you are when you're doing, like, if you're guest speaking or guest podcasting. It's great to know the different angles and avenues you could take your content that get you to your main point, because podcasters are going to want to have, a podcast host is going to want to have a different approach than the last podcast host that interviewed you had. If all of your podcast had the same story after the same story, the same arcway after the same arcway, people would get really bored with your podcast and they would never listen to them again. So what you want to do is have multiple ways into your same content, so that you are getting to the heart of this, but you have multiple roads to get there. So let's go into this in a little bit deeper framework. This should be easier for you to see. So on any given topic, you may have all of these different kinds of ways that you could be talking about this, and you could be talking about this topic. And you may not have all of them, but you may have some of them, right? So we talked about our main story yesterday. You might also have a sub story that when you're talking about a certain subject, and I'll show you an example of this here in a moment when I bring up my content. You might have some facts or some stats. You want people to know something really important. We've been talking about Kathy McCarty a couple of times this week, and she works in the realm of meth toxins and making people be aware of what's happening in the world of having meth toxins in people's homes, and people are out buying homes that have meth toxins in them because they're not testing them, and the percentage of homes that have meth toxins in them is really high. So that kind of a fact would be really important for her to be sharing with the world, right? So anytime there are facts that really support your story, this is a good way to bring that in. You may have influencers or collaborative partners that you want to play with that enhances your content. And I'll give you some good examples of that in just a moment. Some customer success stories, a lead magnet, or even just a way that you can deliver this, tools that you can deliver this. It may not even be a lead magnet. And when I talk about lead magnet, it's something that you're giving somebody. It's like our worksheets today is a tool that I'm giving you. So this could be some sort of a tool that you give to your audience so that they are taking more away. And then within that, you might have several subtopics. And then we get into questions and topic titles to lead people into this topic. So kind of a round circle here. And I'm going to give you an example of this so that it makes more sense. This is mine. And yeah, so this is mine. I've got my Raise Up the Voice of You. This is what you guys are hearing a lot of these first 3 days. Tomorrow, we're going to get into some of raising up the vision of your business and raising up your visibility. These are really important parts of really taking your business to a new level. But we this week are spending a lot of time right here in this Raise Up the Voice of You. Another one of my topics that we'll hit on Friday is raising up your R factor. So that's how we resonate, and how we resonate energetically matters, and how we draw people into our world, and how we're attracting people into our world. So that's a whole nother area for me. And within Raise Up the Voice of Me, I might tell a story. If I was starting out here, I have a great story where I really changed my brand up. I rebranded because I was following all these shiny stars, and with all these bright promises, and they weren't really aligned to who I am, and creating marketing that was aligned to who I am. So I have a really good story about how that shaped my business when I caught myself doing that and reshifted it, and what it did for my business. It made my business grow in a significant way. So the fact is after I had done that, my business has grown 50% year on year, and that includes in 2020. So it's when we are when we find the pathway to doing our branding and our voice and how we show up differently, we can succeed in our businesses. So that's a really important fact for me to be able to bring to the table. Influencers and collaboration partners. I thought of a couple here. Brian Kramer is one that I really adore. Those of you who were at Ignite, he's been somebody that I admire his message. He talks about human to human marketing. It really aligns with the message that I tell in my marketing. And he's a huge influencer. You know, he's known by Forbes magazine as one of the top 3 keynotes you need to see. He's a good influencer for me to partner with and to collaborate with. He's the only man that I've had on Extraordinary Women Radio. So he's a great collaboration partner for me. When I partnered last year with We Rise Up, the movie, that message was that was in 2019, actually. That message was so aligned to the work of getting out and doing the work that makes an impact. You know, so looking for influencers that are out doing big things and stretch on those goals. Think, who can you be partnering with that is really doing amazing things, but aligns to the work that you do. And then also, like, I can look at collaboration partners. Like when I do my Ignite event, I'm always looking for sponsors like graphic designers and web companies and people that really fit into the mix of helping my clients raise up their voice and be seen and be heard. So those are great influencers and collaboration partners that I bring into this. And so I often, when I look at any of these, I love to go out when Brian Kramer shares something, I will go and share it as well. So I know who the influencers are that I want to be engaging with, interacting with, making sure my audience knows who they are, so that, and he does the same for me. It's like I get to be on his podcast, and that's a big freaking deal. So, you know, there's that kind of a collaboration, and it starts with relationships. You've got customer success stories that support this. Then you've got lead magnets or deliverables or tools is what I put here. Raise Up Your Voice workbook, which is a 17-page workbook that I've got. I've got talks that I deliver. I have, you know, tools like these that I've given you guys. And I don't know why Yvette hasn't been able to get it, but hopefully we'll get that to you soon, Yvette. And then I've got topics that I talk on. So speaking your client's love language, if the whole world hears one message. These are all things that support this. And then I have questions and titles that I have on my podcast one sheet that I can hand a podcast host that are going to lead me to all of these things in this and also to this. So those questions and topics come right out of the content that I'm teaching here. I can tag that podcast host to say, you know, tell me more about, and I'm directing where that interview goes. And that's where the power of this comes from. If you start to build this out in a really good way. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can see that, you know, in each one, I've got a different angle that I could take any one of these topics and go deeper with. And it gives me great content to have different podcast interviews with people where I can go down whole different angles. And again, go back to this statement of women's wisdom is the medicine the earth needs. I love to say that. And when I say that, podcast host will go, what? Tell me that one more time. It's the quotable quote. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that point that draws people in. So, this is such a good framework to take time in. Now, this tool is actually done. This is actually done in a tool called XMind. It's a free app that you can download on your computer at www.xmind.net. And I will post this XMind template as well for you guys on the Facebook group, in case you want to just leverage it. That way you could take this template here and just start building out your own piece. So it's a really cool tool. Any of you who like mind maps like I do, this is a great tool. It's really easy for you to just go through and say, okay, what's my story here? What are the facts I want to tell? Who are my influencer partners? So that's a great tool for you to be able to build out and have, and you'll be able to re-leverage it over and over again. I've talked a little bit about influencers and collaboration partners. And, you're really looking for authorities in the work that you do, and you want to collaborate with them, you want to partner with them, and you want to build really solid relationships. And if you're helping build their brand, they're going to reciprocate and help you build your brand. You can share each other's articles. You can say, watch this podcast. You can, and it gets people out of going out and doing the chest pumping of, I'm the greatest, when you're actually sharing other people's stuff. That is so much more palatable on social media than always just pumping your own stuff. Share other people's stuff, celebrate other people. That's where you just get this amazing ripple effect of goodness happening. And if you think about it, social media has so much noise, and there's so much chest pumping that does go on out there, and nobody is drawn into that. No one likes that sort of thing. What you want to do is you want to create this environment where you're giving, you're bringing people into the work that you do, and you're celebrating others. That is a much nicer way to show up on social media. So that's a little bit about influencers and collaboration partners, and choose them wisely. You can't really have 20 collaboration partners and do it right. Choose collaboration partners that are in your space, that do something uniquely different than yours, and that you guys really together, when you said that 1 + 1 = 5 kind of thing that I was talking about earlier this week. It's much more powerful to approach it from that perspective. So our brand is really a series of stories and our customers' experiences, and that's what you start to build in that matrix that I was showing you, because you're sharing your customers' experiences, you're sharing your knowledge, you're sharing your influencers that you're partnering with, and the collaboration people that you're partnering with, and it starts to become this experience versus a push of content, right? And you guys, I know you've seen that, this push of content out there. And some people try to disguise it in a way that you just go, that's pushing content. It's just pushing content. What you're wanting to do is create a safe place for people to come together and be together in your wisdom, your knowledge, help them learn, help them grow, and give them a multidimensional experience. And it can be videos, it can be blogs, it can be all sorts of things. And this is a really important part of this, is you create content in a whole lot of ways. It might be blog posts, it might be events, you might speak at an event, it might be a video that you do. I mean, all of these videos become content for me. You might be doing webinars. You can create memes. You can create things on your website. You've got your book or your ebook. You've got all this richness of content. And what people often do is they create one piece of content and then they forget about it. And there's no power in you. And you lose your scalability. When you've created great content, you want to be able to pull from that and re-leverage your content. So content strategy. And I can promise you, I have not gotten to this point, but I work really hard to focus on this. So often people have this switched, right? They're creating content 80% of the time, and they are optimizing and reusing content 20% of the time. However, the ideal way to do this is really this way: optimizing and reusing content 80% of the time, and creating content 20% of the time. So I'll give you an example. When I do an Extraordinary Women Connect Facebook or Extraordinary Women Connect podcast, my business admin goes out, she goes through it, she listens to it, she pulls content, she pulls audio clips from it, she pulls like my guest quotes. We reuse them. We reuse them over and over again, so they come back and they create a base of content that comes out of my, from me in a bigger way, because I've got processes defined to reuse that content. When I did Ignite, I've got all of these videos that I've created at Ignite. And I can take that content, I can create memes from it. There's so much richness in what I can do with it. So The question I have for you is, where's your existing content that you've already done? You've already done content that is complete. Where is it? What's sitting out there in a directory somewhere? Are there speaking and teaching that you've done? Are there PowerPoints? Are there notes associated with it? Have you written some blogs? Have you written some articles? What conversations are you having regularly with your customers? Record them. Have some conversations and say, hey, let's pull this part out and let's go deeper into this. What conversations are you having when you're just having a networking conversation? There's so much richness in all of this. And if you start to look at the content you're already creating, you're going to, and looking at it through the lens of, gosh, how could I take this deeper? Could I create some memes from this? Could I create an audio clip? Could I take a clip of this video and do something with it? So much richness in that. And that, well, you can feed that into your talks. You can feed it into your social media. It's just so many different, in your emails that you send to clients, so much that you can do with that. So what I invite you to do is, what you do is you create your content strategy here first, and then you create your library, your content strategy in your library, and then you start to re-leverage. This is how you have a base of content that, when I look at mine, when I go back to this, I never have any problem knowing where. It's like I can say, okay, what do I want to talk about today? Where should I go? I have all these different options. I have all these different pieces of content I've already created. It makes it much simpler. So your homework 3 today, so hashtag homework 3, I did that backwards, it should be hashtag homework 3, is repurpose a piece of your existing content. Think about something that you've already done. And is it an article? Is it a video? And either, go through there, pull a quote out of there. If you were doing a video and you said something really, important for people to know, pull a quote out of it and make it into a meme. If you want to pull out an audio, and I wish I knew the audio tool. I'll remember the audio. I'll post the audio tool that we use to create an audio clip. I love that tool. I just can't remember the name of it right now. And, you upload an audio file to it, and then you can cut it, say cut this little section of it, and it becomes this file that you'll see those I post mine over on Cami Guildner Coaching on the Facebook group a lot, those little clips like that. So you have so many different ways. Find one piece of content and repurpose it and post it onto Extraordinary Women Connect today with the hashtag homework 3. And that's your homework today. Also, just as we have 2 more days together, make sure that you're taking any questions that you've got. You're just writing those down on the bottom of your worksheet so that you can, send me these over. And tomorrow I'll do a call out for any of the questions that you've got. And so that I make sure that I respond and answer to all of them this week. So make sure you're capturing those. And what else do I want to tell you? Tomorrow, we're going to start to get into vision, the vision of your business, what you want your business to be, how you want, and that's so that becomes the revenue machine that you want it to be, the revenue generating opportunity for you to really create the kind of business that you want to create. And we're going to get into really starting to raise up your visibility. So we're going to shorten up on those 2 pieces. And then on day 5, on Friday, we're going to talk about R factor, how you resonate, because to me, that is one of the most important things we can do as a business owner is really get clear. We can have all this other stuff in place. And if we're not taking care of our energy and how we're showing up and how we're resonating, then we won't be growing our business. We won't be in this expansion. So that's what we're going to talk about on Friday. So make sure you join us on Friday. So thanks for joining us. If you weren't able to download the workbook, like Yvette wasn't able to do, let me know. Yvette, make sure you send me your mailing address so that you can get your pony ponderings sent to you for being the winner of yesterday's homework challenge. So good luck with everybody. And you guys, if you want to do short videos from yesterday's, and all you need to do is intro to your story. You don't have to do the whole story. Just do the little short intro. Whatever that hook is that pulls people in, you can do that still. So that opportunity is open. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing how you're going to reuse some content today and start to build a library of this new content strategy that you are going to be taking into the world that you will use to really raise up how people experience your work, the stories, the connections, the wisdom, the statistics, the facts, all of it, all of that starts to build such a beautiful journey for serving your clients in a way that helps them accomplish what your work helps them, what your work teaches them. This type of a strategy is so powerful. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you on the Facebook group. I can't wait to see what you post, and talk to you later. Bye.